So recently, the niece or the supposed niece of the New Orleans guy came forward and spoke on Hassan, who is a political streamer on Twitch. She was on his stream talking about basically the New Orleans guy and who she knew and who she grew up with. Now, she wants to make it very, very clear she doesn't think it's a religious aspect of this attack. The reason why is because people are getting really confused with his name. And she said, yes, his name is very ethnic, but her entire family, the way that she grew up, the way she hung out with them when she was younger, no one was actually practicing the Muslim faith. She said her herself grew up Catholic, even though she has a very Muslim name. Like she said, the entire family is mostly Christians and not actually Muslims. The reason why he has that name is due to the grandfather. He's Muslim and he actually picked out all the names. Due to the whole entire family mostly being Christians, they just really lost and was very just like, why? Literally because most of the family was Christian.
The subject has been identified as 42-year-old Samsud Dim Jabbar, a U.S.-born citizen from Texas.
Good evening. I'm Shamsuddin Jabbar, property manager with Blue Meadow Properties and team lead at the Midas Group at Core Realty.
He was driving a Ford pickup truck, which appears to be rented, and we are working to confirm how the subject came in possession of this vehicle.
I just want to say hello and let you know a little bit about me.
An ISIS flag was located on the trailer hitch of the vehicle, and the FBI is working to determine the subject's potential associations and affiliations with terrorist organizations.
So I'm born and raised in Beaumont, Texas, and now live in Houston. And I've been here all my life, with the exception of traveling for the military, where I spent 10 years as a human resources specialist and IT specialist, where I learned the meaning of great service and what it means to be responsive and take everything seriously, dotting I's and crossing T's to make sure that things go off without a hitch.
Weapons and potential improvised explosive devices, IEDs, were located in the subject's vehicle. Other potential IEDs were also located in the French Quarter. As of now, 2 IEDs have been found and rendered safe.
So I've taken those skills and applied them to my career as a real estate agent, where I feel like what really sets me apart from other agents is my ability to be able to, one, be a fierce negotiator. So not only do I brilliantly market your property to make sure it gets sold as quickly as possible or gets leased as quickly as possible, but I'm also going to take every ounce of energy and putting it into negotiating for you and for your property to get the best deal that you can possibly get for it.
We are working with our partners to investigate this as an act of terrorism. We're aggressively running down all of the leads to identify the possible subject associates. We're working to ensure that there is no further threat. We do not believe that Jabbar was solely responsible. We are actively running down every lead, including those of his known associates. We're asking anyone who has information, video, or pictures to provide it to the FBI. We have set up a digital tip line as well as our 1-800 number, 1-800-CALL-FBI.
They're looking for 3 men and 1 female that they claim they saw on video placing bombs throughout New Orleans. Now, what I believe the FBI is trying to do, and I probably hope to achieve, is that they arrest these 4 people that they have on video, they claim, that they can possibly give up all the other people that's involved in these type of possible attacks. The problem with that is that you said 1 female. FBI in Louisiana just backtracked everything. Now they're saying he was a lone wolf. I thought they said see, this is when you do when you catch law enforcement talking that bullshit and lying to your face. They literally said day 1, which was yesterday, they have videos showing them that they had 3 men and 1 female.
They just held the press conference and ABC News confirmed that they were informed by the investigators that they saw several different people on surveillance cameras leaving explosive devices throughout Bourbon Street. This is how they were able to confirm that he was not acting alone.
Morning, the New Orleans basically announced that now Washington has took over. You heard me. Washington is now in D.C. This isolated event that literally have nobody involved somehow got the attention of Washington, and now Washington D.C. is inside of New Orleans right now. But yeah, one of the things they wanted to make it clear is that he was ISIS influenced. He wasn't actually part of the ISIS army. Now this kind of contradicts what police, PD, and FBI stated yesterday. Y'all remember they kept saying they had a whole bunch of recordings of him stating that he is part of the ISIS army. Now they're saying he is not part of ISIS army.
Shamsuddin Jabbar, a former U.S. Army soldier, unalived 14 people in a horrific attack on Bourbon Street. Now, initially, the FBI said they were looking into not 1, but 5 suspects, suggesting that Jabbar wasn't acting alone. But now they're saying it was just him, one man, working entirely on his own, a lone wolf. But see, that explanation isn't adding up, because first, investigators have just discovered a rare compound in the BOMBs that Jabbar planted. It's so unusual that it hasn't been seen in T-word attacks in the US or Europe before.
We have some massive breaking news regarding the New Orleans terrorist attack. Apparently, the chemical that was used in the explosive devices is incredibly rare. It has never before been seen in an attack used in the US or in Europe. So what does this mean? Well, it means that likely he was not acting alone, that he would have had to get help and guidance in order to make this. And this material was apparently in both of the IEDs that he used.
So where did he learn to make this? Who supplied the materials? I mean, it's hard to believe that one person could pull all of this off without help. I mean, second, we have to remember the house that Jabbar rented in Louisiana mysteriously went up in flames shortly after the attack. And key evidence that could have explained how he operated, or more importantly, who he may have been working with, is now gone. So if Jabbar was acting truly alone, how do we explain these loose ends? And let's not forget, the FBI said 5 suspects were involved at first. So why the sudden shift to lone wolf? What changed? And this attack raises more questions than answers. Number 1, how does a single person create such advanced BOMBs? 2, why did the FBI change their narrative? 3, how does a fire conveniently destroy critical evidence just as the investigation is starting?
Anyone question why this guy in New Orleans did this at 3 o'clock in the morning? Is it me, or does it seem like this was a trial run? So if his ultimate motive was to have the most carnage possible, why wouldn't he do it at midnight on New Year's Day? So he waited till 3 o'clock in the morning. The other question is, why did he not do it in Houston where he was from? I'm sure Houston was going to have some large crowds for New Year's Eve. So why New Orleans? Do you think he did it because of the Sugar Bowl? Was this a trial run for the Super Bowl that's in February in New Orleans?
On Friday, 16 New Orleans police officers turned in their badge and walked off the job. This followed the terror attack which took place on January 1st, claiming the lives of 14 and injuring over 35.
Am I the only one who's finding it difficult to believe that a U.S.-born citizen joined the military at 25, served for 9 years, and then all of a sudden 10 years later decides to do this? Am I the only one who's saying this ain't adding up?
Guess what happened a few hours after New Orleans attack? The Las Vegas attack. Why the outburst happened with the Louisiana governor and senator? Because they probably have a strong indicator that the Vegas attack is actually connected to the New Orleans attack.
2 men who carried out the New Year's Day attacks share several striking similarities. Both are Army vets reportedly deployed to the same Army base, Fort Bragg, North Carolina, now known as Fort Liberty. Both chose to act on New Year's Day within hours of each other. Both drove electric trucks, and they rented them from the same car rental app, Turo.
Very strange similarities to have.
An active duty U.S. Army soldier, a new father, and reportedly a fan of Trump. Here's what we know about the suspect in the Las Vegas Cybertruck explosion. Investigators have identified U.S. Army Master Sergeant Matthew Livelsberger, 37, a special operations soldier on leave from his base in Germany, as the individual who rented the Cybertruck that exploded outside the Trump International Hotel, Las Vegas on New Year's Day. Following an examination of the remains found inside the vehicle, the Clark County coroner confirmed that Livelsberger was the driver. They stated that he died from a gunshot wound to the mouth in what was ruled as a suicide.
The individual had sustained a gunshot wound to the head prior to the detonation of the vehicle.
Well, the FBI is saying that his body was burnt beyond recognition, but he was ID'd by his driver's license and passport. Heard this story before, right?
Now, if you had one really violent day, one rough hour, and I mean real rough. Y'all wanted to play the fuck around game so goddamn badly. Well, you are fixing to find out very bigly.